I have a love-hate relationship with the ROG Ally X, and I'll just say right off the bat, I probably had more fun playing this device than I have had with any other video game experience in the last 6 years. I graduated college a few years ago, I started working full-time, I'm getting married this year. I have more of an adult life than I used to, and I think what often comes with that, you'll hear that in other reviews people have made of these handhelds, is you just end up playing video games less. At least that's been my experience. And I really, before this, I think was playing video games probably once every couple months is probably the best way of putting it. So when I got this device, I of course wanted to use it a lot for the review. And I really did end up kind of falling in love with gaming again. And that is just so cool. So I'll say this. I've been an Xbox guy most of my life. I got an Xbox 360. I think it was actually in late elementary school. Played that, eventually got an Xbox One, eventually got a One X, and later went to PC from there. But I do have a lot of history with Xbox. I usually only play games on PC with an Xbox controller. And as you could probably imagine, I felt right at home with this device. The ergonomics were perfect to me. It felt a lot like using the Xbox Elite Series 2 controller. I loved the buttons, I loved the triggers, and I loved that for the first time ever, I could play Halo mobile. I'm a huge Halo fan. I've been a huge Halo fan since I was 11 years old, and I've been aware you could play Halo via streaming, but as someone who never had a great internet connection and just doesn't like latency, I wasn't really interested in trying it. So when I got this device and first booted up Halo Reach, then later the rest of the Master Chief Collection and Halo Infinite, it was awesome. I was like a kid on Christmas again. It was very exciting. And I even then later a couple times did Xbox parties with my brother and friends, and we'd play Halo Infinite and Master Chief Collection multiplayer for hours. Me using my AirPods as my headset and laying in my bed, which is someone who never had a TV mounted to the wall. I'd never been able to play video games like that before. That was just super cool. So there is so much fun to be had with this device, and I do want to just make that clear right in the beginning. But I did say it's a love-hate relationship, so let me explain more about why. I got this device knowing very little about the state of handheld gaming, knowing essentially nothing. The last handheld I had was a Nintendo DS. In 2011 is probably when I stopped using it. I got a Nexus 7 tablet after that, later playing games on my phone, and then maybe a bit on my iPad, but I hadn't had a Steam Deck. I hadn't had a Switch. I had sort of tried some of these things with other people, but I kind of missed that whole wave of gaming. So I didn't really have a good sense of what these kind of devices could really do. Seeing all the Xbox marketing for this device, I kind of assumed it was just going to play all the games really well because, I mean, it's a 1080p screen. I imagined that that wasn't going to be a huge issue. I remember getting my first, or not my first, but, one of my pre-built PCs back in 2018. It was about $1,000, a Dell pre-built from Best Buy, and that thing could play games in 1080p, 60 FPS with mostly all high settings. And again, that was in 2018. So I figured this thing surely could do that. And that isn't really my experience. I've been playing Halo Infinite a lot on it, which is in some ways notorious for performance issues. But we're talking about a game that came out in 2021 that uses a very old engine that doesn't really look amazing. And this device cannot play it at even medium settings at 1080p and get 60 FPS. In order to get the settings that, the performance that I wanted, so in order to get that 60 FPS, in order to get decent visuals, I put a mix of medium settings, more or less. I put the device down to 900p and used AMD upscaling, which is totally playable. I got totally used to it. I had a lot of fun with it, but I'm someone who's coming from using an iPad Pro M4 with an OLED screen, super tack sharp. My iPhone 16 Pro is my phone. I'm used to small screens that are sharp, and I think many people looking to spend $1,000 on a device probably also are. So I guess I was just a bit surprised that this thing could not play all the games that I expected to at 1080p in high settings and 60 FPS. Same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2. Had to move it down to 900p to get better performance and better settings. And does it look fine? Yeah, it looks fine, but it's not maybe, I guess, exactly what I expected. For example, my main computer is 5 years old. I don't really play it all that much, to be honest, but it has an RTX 3080. And last night, I played it for the first time in 2 weeks, booted up Halo Infinite, max settings, 4K. Obviously, this computer was very expensive when I bought it. It was $4,000, which was crazy. It was a pre-built, and I don't think it's fair to expect that this ROG Ally X would perform the same way as that. But what I guess I maybe would have expected is that it would perform closer to that 2018 computer we were talking about. Unfortunately, effectively, it doesn't in my experience. So I've noticed a lot of other people in reviews for this. They're playing indie games. They're playing games that are lower performance. And in those settings, I am sure you could put this thing down to its lower wattage settings. You can play 1080p. You can max out the settings. You can get that 120 hertz performance that this panel is capable of. And I'm sure that will be wonderful. So if that's the kind of games you play, then I think you're going to love this. However, I think many of us who are buying this are buying it because we want to play AAA games. And to be clear, I am not saying that it can't. And if you're someone who really doesn't care about the settings in your game and the resolution, you just want to play those AAA games, this will be great. And none of what I'm saying will apply to you. Consider this a great device for that. But I know so many of us who do PC gaming because, don't be confused, this is a PC. Many of us do it because we do care so much about the performance of the games, about the visuals of the games. And I just think this isn't really there yet, to be frank, at least not in the way that I expected it to be. I think I expected more from the performance, and perhaps if that really matters to you, consider waiting another 1 to 3 years when hopefully these devices actually can play games at 1440p or 4K even, get high frame rates, high settings. That's probably more where I personally would want to get into a device like this, is when it's more at that level. So right now, there's a ton of fun to be had with this. And if you're not a pixel peeper, you don't care about a little bit of upscaling, and maybe you don't even necessarily play only AAA games, this thing is awesome. I think it is worth $1,000. The ergonomics are great, but if you're someone who really cares so much about the visuals, like I admit I do, I would at least try it first before you commit to buying it. And one last note on this about it being a PC. If you buy this for a little kid, expect that what's going to happen is when you buy it, you have to sign into a Microsoft account, update Windows, update the Asus drivers, update the Xbox app, and then install your games. It's not like a console. It's not like buying a Switch or something like that. It's totally different. So if you're a PC gamer, it's fine. You know what you're getting into, but treat this as a PC. This thing is Xbox in the sense that it has an Xbox logo and an Xbox controller, and it runs this cool Xbox launcher, which again, as I said earlier, it's a little bit easier to use than standard Windows 11, but it's not an Xbox. So with that said, if you are interested in buying it, check the affiliate link we have in the description. You can buy it at no extra cost and support our work at the same time. With that said, I do hope to get more handhelds here soon to do more reviews on, as overall my experience with this still overall was very interesting and positive, and I hope to understand more about this space. The Steam Deck OLED, for example, from what I've heard, has features like letting you instantly put games to sleep and then resume them immediately where you stopped with limited battery drain. Certain things you can do when you're not running Windows, it sounds like. So I'm curious to try that. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. And until next time, Christian from Ericsson Films.